Seth, a 19-year-old college dropout, currently sustains himself by operating an underground casino from his apartment in Queens, New York. Despite the potential legal issues, he manages to do quite well and has a consistent clientele from the nearby college. One evening, after he believed the casino had closed for the night, he receives an unexpected knock at the door. It is his old friend Adam, accompanied by a wealthy associate named Greg. Before shutting the door, Seth glances outside and notices Greg's yellow Ferrari parked at the curb. The following day, Seth visits his parents and younger brother. His father, Marty, who serves as a federal judge, immediately confronts him about his decision to drop out of college. Although Seth had left college 6 months prior, he had refrained from informing his family until now. Aware that Seth is no longer receiving student aid, Marty also knows about the casino operation. He throws several custom-made casino chips onto the table, leaving Seth's mother in shock. Later that evening, Seth returns to his casino to have a drink with Adam and Greg. Greg expresses his admiration for Seth's operation but cautions that, in addition to the criminal risks, it is not a viable long-term business. He offers Seth a position at his firm, J.T. Marlin, stating that he will start as an associate until he passes his Series 7 test, after which he will have unlimited earning potential. Adam supports this as a fantastic opportunity, prompting Seth to agree to an interview. J.T. Marlin is located an hour away on the Long Island Expressway, not on Wall Street. The interview takes place in a large conference room with a group of candidates. The head recruiter, Jim, who is also a co-founder of the firm, delivers a concise yet impactful presentation, highlighting the advantages of working at J.T. Marlin. He asserts that every employee will earn $1 million within their first 3 years at the firm and proceeds to explain the new hire process. During the initial 3 months at the firm, you will serve as a trainee. Upon completion of this period, you will take the Series 7 examination. Successfully passing this exam will elevate you to the position of junior broker, where you will be responsible for opening accounts for your team leader. Once you have opened 40 accounts, you will be able to operate independently, with limitless potential for success. Seth has chosen to join the firm and has been placed on Greg's team. Each trainee is given a set of leads to contact, with the objective of generating interest in J.T. Marlin and informing prospects that a senior broker will reach out to them. This process is intended to help trainees become more comfortable with phone communication. Greg emphasizes that a proficient broker typically makes several hundred calls each day. Seth enjoys a dinner with his family, during which his mother expresses pride in his new role as a stockbroker, while his brother inquires about the potential for wealth, eliciting laughter from Seth. Marty also shows support by asking Seth about his new job. However, the atmosphere shifts negatively when Marty suggests that Seth's final task is to shut down the casino, prompting Seth to excuse himself from the table. The following day, Seth engages in a phone conversation with Dr. Jacobs, discussing a new drug developed by MSC Pharmaceuticals. He informs the doctor that the medication is currently in the 3rd phase of FDA approval and is expected to receive approval within the next 3 months. Despite being new to the role, Seth is performing admirably, with his sales abilities improving rapidly, culminating in his first significant sale. He shares details about the promising drug with Dr. Jacobs, noting its impending FDA approval and the anticipated rise in stock value. Once Dr. Jacobs expresses interest, Chris, a senior broker at the firm, intervenes to swiftly close the deal. Following an evening out with colleagues, Greg drops Seth off at his vehicle in the J.T. Marlin parking lot. He then proceeds to the office to retrieve his bag, where he hears a sound emanating from one of the nearby rooms. Curious, Seth investigates and discovers the firm's SEC compliance officer placing a file into the paper shredder. He also notices a trash bag filled with what seems to be shredded documents. Meanwhile, the FBI, which has been conducting an investigation into J.T. Marlin, has Seth's file laid out on a desk. The lead investigator has pinpointed Seth as a target for their operation, recognizing him as the most intelligent among the trainees, and mentions they are devising a strategy to approach him. As Seth continues to excel in his new position, closing several accounts daily, he remains wary due to his observations from the previous night in the office. He spots the firm's owner, Michael, with the same compliance officer outside the office. Upon comparing the prospectuses of the stocks they are marketing, he notes that multiple listings share the same names under private equity sources. Abby, the administrator with whom Seth has formed a rapport, interrupts his inquiry just as he begins to feel more at ease at the desk. To commemorate his success in passing the Series 7 exam, one of the senior brokers, Chris, invites Seth out for a celebratory evening. During their outing, Seth inquires about how the firm can afford to offer such high commissions, known as RIPs, for their sales. The RIPs that J.T. Marlin provides are 3 to 4 times greater than those of any other major firm, raising concerns about sustainability. Chris, however, brushes off Seth's worries, suggesting that he is posing the wrong questions. Despite his unease, Seth cannot shake his curiosity and decides to enter the building he had seen Michael enter a few days prior. The structure adjacent to JT Marlin was intended to be entirely unoccupied. Upon entering, Seth discovers a spacious unfinished area filled solely with numerous phones scattered across the concrete floor. While navigating through the multitude of phones, Michael reappears accompanied by the compliance officer. Seth discreetly hides behind one of the pillars to avoid detection, yet he manages to overhear part of their discussion. Michael inquires about a relocation and asks how long the procedure will take, to which the other individual responds that it will not exceed 2 hours. Subsequently, Seth visits one of the firms whose stock is being promoted by JT Marlin. The premises appear to be deserted, with windows partially obscured by old newspapers and a soiled sign leaning against the wall that reads, Med Patent Technologies. He later informs Abby about his observations at Med Patent, explaining that the company has been selling shares for entities that do not actually exist. Michael is involved in what is referred to as bridge financing, a process where a company secures external funding in anticipation of going public. This practice is entirely legal provided there is no connection between the investors and the company. However, Michael is having his acquaintances pose as investors for each firm, which accounts for the repetition of names across all contracts. This also clarifies how Michael can afford to offer such substantial returns on the preferred stocks, as he is depending on the brokers at JT Marlin to generate artificial demand. After the capital is secured, the brokers cease their promotion of the stock, leading to an immediate decline in its value. One of Seth's clients, Harry, reaches out to him to inquire about the poor performance of his initial investment. As a purchasing manager saving for a home, this investment is causing significant strain in his relationship with his wife. Despite discovering the company's fraudulent nature, Seth persuades Harry to invest further by purchasing additional shares at a reduced price. This decision nearly guarantees losses, resulting in Harry losing the desired house and ultimately leading to his wife and family leaving him. Meanwhile, after conducting his own research on JT Marlin, Marty realizes that the firm is a scam operation that defrauds investors. He confronts Seth, accusing him of dishonesty and of destroying lives. Marty disowns Seth, expressing a desire to sever all ties. Reflecting on the situation, Seth recognizes the irony. The illegal business he operated was the most legitimate aspect of his life, allowing him to engage with customers honestly. In contrast, he now finds himself unable to face his clients, having pushed them into unwanted investments. Seeking assistance, Seth approaches his father before departing from JT Marlin. Understanding the process, Seth intends to invest in an IPO and sell shares upon their initial price increase. Initially, his father declines to support this plan but later agrees to help keep Seth out of trouble. While sitting with Abby, who is aware of his intentions, they are approached by the FBI. Seth is arrested for multiple SEC violations and learns that Abby has been acting as an informant in the FBI investigation. Leveraging her ailing mother, the FBI utilized Abby to strengthen their case against Seth. Subsequently, Seth negotiated a deal with the FBI, securing full immunity for both himself and his father in exchange for providing all necessary information to build their case against JT Marlin. Despite this agreement, Seth remains resolute in his intention to ensure Harry recoups his investment. He approaches Michael, portraying Harry as a significant investor who suffered considerable losses on his initial investment. Seth suggests that to retain Harry as a client, they should offer him complimentary shares in an upcoming IPO. Although Michael is initially reluctant, he ultimately consents, on the condition that the shares are held for a minimum of 6 months. Aware that the scheme is a pump and dump, Michael understands that by that time, the shares will likely be worthless. After receiving the go-ahead from the FBI, Seth duplicates the required files. His final task is to obtain a senior broker's approval on the sell ticket for Harry's IPO shares. He informs Chris that the FBI is poised to raid the firm imminently, emphasizing that this is their last opportunity to rectify the situation for someone. After some persuasion, Chris ultimately agrees to sign the ticket. The film concludes with Seth entering his vehicle as the FBI arrives to conduct the raid on the firm.